Yeah, we can start.
And we will not begin videotaping until we have all groups ready.
It's funny.
Okay. Raise your hand if your group is ready.
Oh, I am 22.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and begin. Please double check that the camera is rolling.
Okay. I'm Miss Deering. So if you guys have any questions, just yell at me, Miss Deering. Okay, so what do these two animals have in common?
They have 4 legs.
Okay, what else?
They're kind of big. I mean, that one. Well, that one's bigger than that one, but
It is bigger.
they're bigger.
Bigger than us.
Yeah.
Yes.
They both have like snouts, like bigger snouts. Though, like obviously the elephant's is bigger.
They're both mammals.
Ooh, that's a good one.
They have eyes and ears
Tails.
and
Yeah,
tails.
they have tails.
They're furry.
Their feet are kind of similar. I mean, like you can see. I mean, one has toenails, which is different. But
It's very different. Okay, well, all of these are very correct, but in our instance, these two are used for war battles. So, we're going to start with some vocabulary on this document before we do anything else. So, I would like you to pull out your highlighter, your expo marker. Do you need me to open yours for you? Okay. And the first word you're going to highlight is Hydaspes. So, it's at the very top.
mine's too.
Oh, that's kind of dark. Can you see that, Claire?
Yes.
Okay.
It's kind of tough.
Does anyone know what the Hydaspes is?
It sounds like something you hear someone say on the street, like Hydaspes is
It
crazy.
kind of does. Kind of does. Sounds a little crazy. In this case, Hydaspes is a river, and I'm going to give you a post-it note. I'm going to have you write the definition, so you can have a big one or a little one. We do a big one right now.
Thank you.
I won't give you one because you're recording, but I would give it to everyone. Alright, so the Hydaspes is located in western India.
And I want you guys to try to figure out which one of these would go with this word. Okay? The word is toil. Which one of these do you guys
And then it is present-day Pakistan.
for toil?
Western India, present-day Pakistan. And if you're looking at it on a map, it would be the Jhelum River. So I have it here highlighted. So this is present-day Pakistan, and this is the Hydaspes River. So present-day Jhelum.
The word is zeal.
Alright, next word we're going to highlight is cavalry. So it's kind of halfway down the middle.
It's perfect. Good job.
Does anybody have any ideas what this word might mean?
The word is reeds and various tall grasses
Something to do with the army.
Something to do with army? Yes, that's very correct.
There's a church over there that has a title.
That is correct, it does. Okay, does anyone need a new post-it note to get using the bottom? Cool. Alright, so that one is soldiers who fought on horseback.
The marching one. Okay. Gully. A ditch or
Right. The next word, sorry, Claire. The next word is going to be parallel. So it's closer to the bottom of the page. Did we find it?
This word is a little
If you need another one, let me know.
since we only have one more picture left. This is a
Okay, do we know what parallel means?
They don't touch.
They don't touch, that is correct. So in this instance, it is side by side and having the same distance between them. So if something is over here,
So you may be wondering why I did
the thing, the parallel to that, do you think it would be up here? Well, you can't really see that. Can I use your blue?
No.
Okay. Where would the parallel line be to my orange line?
We had the legend of the helmet. And this is
Or like, I don't know how far you're wanting me to put it.
No, you're fine, just as long as it's across. Thank you, Claire. Alright, so side by side and having the same distance between them. Okay, and then the final word that we're going to highlight is vigor. So vigor. Do you need a new post-it note? No? Do you need a new one? Just the baby one. Just the baby one. Okay. Do we know what that word means?
And then our second word we're going to read.
Like with enthusiasm.
That's a very good guess. In this case, it means physical strength and good health.
Alright. So this is document D. When you guys have your copy, I want you to go ahead and follow along as I'm reading.
Perfect. All right, and you can put those sticky notes wherever you need to, and you can refer back to them when we read. So I'm going to read the questions aloud before we read our document. So the first question is, where is the Hydaspes River? I know that we already know where it is, but don't write it down yet. We'll do it at the end. Number 2 is, explain how Alexander's army was able to cross the Hydaspes before Porus was able to react. Number 3, how was Alexander able to turn Porus's elephants into a kind of weapon? Number 4 and 5 are, how can you use this document to argue that Alexander was great, and then how was he not great? Okay, we're going to start with the document. So we're going to read the source at the very top of your page. Lucius Falvus Arnus, The Campaigns of Alexander, 130 CE. So do you think that this is a primary or secondary source?
Secondary.
A secondary? Why do you say that, Brooke?
I don't really know. I just think that it's secondary.
Okay, so primary sources, we know that it happened at the time, so it's someone who probably knew the person that they're writing about, and secondary happens after. So, are you keeping your answer or are you changing your answer?
I'm keeping it.
Perfect, good job. Alright, and then our note says that Lucius was also known as Arrian, a Greek philosopher and historian who lived some 400 years after the time of Alexander. His book is considered the best account of Alexander's reign. In this excerpt, he describes Alexander's last major battle, fought with a prince named Porus on the eastern bank of the Hydaspes River in India. Because he was so impressed with Porus's bravery, Alexander allowed him to retain administration rule after the Indians' defeat. Alright, we're going to start on the document. Alexander pitched camp on the bank of the Hydaspes. Where's the Hydaspes at, Claire?
In Western India, modern-day Pakistan.
Correct. Okay, and Porus was to be seen on the other side of the bank with his whole army and his force of elephants. So we're going to have Porus over here. So he's going to be orange X's. He realized that he could not cross at the point where Porus was encamped. His elephants were too numerous. When Alexander saw this, he decided to move his troops in all different directions so that Porus would keep puzzled. So Claire, can I borrow your purple?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So, if this is where Alexander wanted to stay, he would move his camp all across the river to trick Porus. So Porus wouldn't know where he was going to go next. At night, he would take most of his cavalry. What's his cavalry again?
His people on horses.
Perfect. To various points along the riverbank, where he would use a clamor, raise the war cry, and produce all other such noises that came from men preparing to cross the river. Porus actually parallel his movements on the other side. Brooke, what does parallel mean again?
Like not, like they don't touch, like they're like the same.
Yes, so side by side.
Yeah, side by side.
Leading his elephants toward the shouting, and Alexander got him into the habit of making these corresponding movements. This actually went on for quite a long time until Porus no longer reacted. So, do you think that he's kind of crying wolf, that Alexander's kind of crying wolf and saying that he's going to attack when he really isn't? So if you were Porus, do you think that you would follow Alexander every time he moved down the river, or do you think he would eventually stop? I think he would stop too. And that's what happened. Alright, in our editor's note, it says that Arrian then writes, Alexander, leaving 5,000 armed men in full view opposite Porus's camp, led a force exceeding 10,000 foot soldiers, archers, and cavalry, and crossed the river about 10 miles upstream. Rafts for ferrying the men were made from hides wrapped from hay and sewn watertight. The crossing was further hidden by a midnight thunderstorm. Too late to stop the crossing, Porus arranged his army on a nearby plain and prepared for the battle. The narrative continues. The engagement was unlike any other previous battle. Porus's elephants were now boxed in, and damage inflicted by them fell on friend no less than foe. So that means that the soldiers were getting hurt by their own elephants, not by Alexander's army. With men trampled under the beast, twisted and turned.
Alright.
Most of the drivers of the elephants, too, have been brought down by spears. Eventually, the animals grew tired and lost their vigor. What does vigor mean, Brooke? Do you remember?
Alexander was himself.
Their physical strength.
Yeah,
and
so
good
that means
health.
that they got really tired and they just didn't want to fight anymore.
Yep.
Okay. Alexander then threw his cavalry in a circle around the entire force and ordered the infantry to lock shields, to group tightly, and to advance as a phalanx. At this juncture, the Indians all took
Rather
flight.
heavy, fell into the
So who won this battle?
However, the band was carried along by the wind and was caught by one of the reins.
Alexander, that is correct. Do you remember why? Can you give me an example as to how you know that he won?
Well, the Indians took flight, so they left.
One of the sailors swam off
It
towards
does.
the band.
Yes, you are correct.
Snatched it
All right, I would like you to take a few minutes and answer the questions by
in
yourself.
his hands because it would get wet while he was swimming.
If you have any questions, just remember to ask.
Therefore, put it around his own head and brought it to the king. Most of the biographers of Alexander say that the king gave him a talent, and a talent would be more than $10,000 as a reward for his zeal.
How can you use this document to argue that?
Could you read that for me? As a reward for his zeal. Then he ordered his head to be cut off because of the prophets had explained that he should not allow the head that had worn the royal headband to be safe. Alright,
So it's not like Alexander.
I'll go ahead and give you guys a second. Hannah, did you understand that story?
Have answered those questions.
So, yeah.
Could you give me a brief summary of it?
That
Alexander
moves his army up and down the river, and that's how he could use and then his horse and was able to get his army across the river. Realized that they were actually crossing the river,
soldier
and
decided he was going to something different.
encircled all the elephants
so he
with
cut it
his
from him,
soldiers,
but he put it on his head
and
so
their
he
horses,
wouldn't have
and
to
that's
get
how
out
they were able to
swimming.
win against the
And then
horse.
Alexander rewarded him.
So
Do you have a question, Claire? Do you need help? Eavesdropping on another group.
might have had to go around, and the horse would have kept reacting.
That is a very good summary. I love that you pulled
Down here,
details out of the story. Very good. Go ahead and let you guys fill out the rest of the questions.
Can we explain how Alexander was able to cross the Hadassah before Porus was able to react? Megan, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, they used the elephant against Horus, so that up on
I'm going to give you about 30 more seconds.
Didn't they? By like being really loud, and Porus thought they were in one place. A clamor, that's very good. Okay. How was Alexander able to turn Porus's elephant into a sweat?
All right, let's talk about the questions. So, where's the Hydaspes River?
In Western India /
We all finished?
Correct. Okay. Explain how Alexander's army was able to cross the Hydaspes River before Porus was able to react. Claire, can you answer that one?
I said that they made movements and tricked Porus into thinking that they weren't. He thought that they weren't gonna do anything, but they did do stuff.
That's correct. Good job. Number 3, how was Alexander able to turn Porus's elephants into a kind of weapon? Brooke, what'd you put for that one?
I said that they killed the elephant drivers and then boxed in the elephants and they trampled them in.
Alright, now number 4 and 5. These ones were probably difficult. One was probably more difficult than the other. Do you guys agree? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Can you give me an example of why you think he was not so great? So I think this one's a little bit tougher. Does anybody have any written down for that?
I said that using like the phalanx is like dangerous to put your men in that situation.
How so? Can you explain that more?
Just because like they're so tightly packed with spears, and I feel like it might be productive when like fighting, but a lot of men could get killed that way.
Yeah, definitely, especially when you're working around those big elephants.
Yeah.
Do you think that he's kind of being bloodthirsty? Like he didn't need to go on this battle? Do you think he just kind of fought them because he wanted to?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he put his troops at risk by throwing them in with elephants, massive beasts that they've never seen before. Yeah. Okay. Well, I would next time I'd ask about how it was how he was great, but it seems like you guys have a lot about that. So my closure is, in this passage, we learned how Alexander tricked Porus into thinking that his army was going to attack, when in reality, Alexander was able to cry wolf so many times that when he really did attack, Porus's army was not ready, thus ending in Porus's defeat. And then my extension would be to connect it to present day. So I would talk about how Alexander lived so long ago, it was over 2,000 years, that most of us might have trouble relating to how this can affect things today. So we're going to time hop through history to find examples of how leaders or people of importance use their power to convince their followers to do something they didn't want to do, such as Hitler convincing all of Germany that Jewish people were evil, so they needed to kill them all or put them in concentration camps. So I would have each student tell about their examples throughout history.
Someone who
Thanks. That's it.
the army at the